What are you doing, you might ask? Well, I would answer, I am playing Fortnite on a 1.6 gigahertz, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 384 megabyte video card, MacBook Air from 2011 with all the graphic options set to Epic. This is a machine that honestly should be having trouble playing solitaire. And if this isn't amazing to you, you're not paying attention. So something else you might be wondering is, what is an old fart like you doing playing Fortnite? Well, I'm winning. But even more amazing than me occasionally winning a game of Fortnite is what's happening on this particular computer right now. If I do an about this Mac, you'll be able to see that it's at 1.6 gigahertz, 2 gigabytes of RAM. So it has an Intel HD integrated graphics card that's, oh, I misspoke, 288 megabytes of memory. I thought it was 384. My mistake. It is a mid-2011 model. This machine has never been known as a gaming workhorse. Back in the day, there may have been a few games for it. The Macintosh platform in general is not really looked upon as something that a lot of gaming happens on. And yet, I was running Fortnite on this machine at 100 frames per second average speed with everything turned on. And also, by the way, I'm running a version of Fortnite that is not supposed to run on a Macintosh. It's the Fortnite that connects with the whole rest of the world, as opposed to this kind of a weird jail that they put all the other Mac users and iOS users into while this frivolous lawsuit works its way through the courts. So now the question becomes, how am I doing this? How is Fortnite playing on this machine? A machine that is basically a computing potato. A machine that in no way meets the requirements that Epic has laid out to run Fortnite. And even if it did, this is a version that it shouldn't even be running on this particular machine anyway. Well, basically what we're seeing here is an example of cloud computing, and I believe strongly that this is where our future lies. I really think that this is the first step of something that later on is going to become more and more common, and that is to completely reduce the end machine on this end into nothing more really than a dumb terminal that has a monitor and a keyboard and an input source, and speakers and the other things that you need. But the processing power, the computing power, I strongly feel is eventually going to move up to the web, where you can't possibly compete on a desktop machine with what someone can put into a warehouse full of servers. And that's basically what's happened with Nvidia. They've taken a whole bunch of machines, put them all together, and when you're running Fortnite, I say running, I'm playing Fortnite on this machine. I'm actually running Fortnite on a machine or group of machines, or possibly some sort of virtual machine somewhere else in the country that's hooked up to some sort of a massive pipe that that basically is generating effectively sort of a Netflix film. They're generating all the application is running there. The video is being generated there. The game itself is being rendered there. It's being sent back to this laptop, and then my keyboard commands are being sent back to Nvidia. That then on the machine that is running this interprets that, sends that to the Epic servers. The Epic server then tells the Nvidia servers what is happening next as far as where I'm moving or what's happening to me, or if I've shot somebody, or if I've been shot or whatever. And then that sends this thing back to me so quickly that there is literally no lag. I am not seeing even a hint of lag. This is crisp. The gameplay on this thing is nothing short of instantaneous. When I push a button, it happens. There is absolutely no example of lag. There's no example of me falling behind something. I am truly, truly amazed by this. So back when I got started with computers, technology was pretty different back then. I really, honestly, early 80s, really, you could pretty much trace me back to the late 70s, but in the early 80s is when I started messing with PCs. I had a ZX81 and Apple II, and was one of the very first people to ever have a Macintosh, etc. And so a lot of times when I see things like this happen, I'm seeing it more from the standpoint of, well, this used to be this way, this used to be that way, and it's kind of amazing if this happens, or kind of amazing if that happens, or whatever. And I am often, more and more frequently, taken completely by surprise by something like this that actually has truly, truly melted my brain. I think everyone has probably seen some kind of an example of cloud storage. If you have an iPhone or an Android phone, it's probably, there's a likelihood that your photos or whatnot is being stored on some kind of a nebulous cloud server somewhere. Some people may have had some exposure to cloud computing. Good examples, or kind of an example, is Adobe's Creative Suite. So if you're a Photoshop subscriber or After Effects subscriber, so on and so forth, you can, the latest version is what you always download, you always run. But those applications run locally on your machine. Your machine is where all the actual processing time takes place. What they're doing is really storing the installation of the I evidently cannot talk and play Fortnite at the same time. What they're storing is the application itself, and all your data and everything is local to you, so on. What this is doing is running the application itself in a distance. What I'm seeing here is sort of an interactive movie, where the things that I'm doing and whatnot is interacting with. When I push a button, something happens. I can swing my axe. I can jump, that's what I'm talking about, the zero lag kind of cycle that they've got built into this thing, which is kind of amazing. And I'm about to get shot here because I have absolutely no weapons and haven't been paying attention to what I'm doing, and I'm hearing a bunch of people shooting. So when I get my tail handed to me here in just a second, I guess it's going to be expected. This is an entirely different level of cloud computing that I've never been exposed to, and the kind of thing that honestly I never really thought was going to be possible, and that is completely running all of the application and the output and the processing and everything else at a distance, and all you're doing is really kind of got just sort of a little window that you're looking into to see that this thing goes. In this particular case, it's pretty cool, because what this lets me do is it lets me run Fortnite on a machine that should not be running Fortnite at all, or playing Fortnite anyway. And this opens up a whole bunch of new possibilities. For example, one of the interesting things that people look at nowadays, just kind of as a benchmark, is how well DaVinci runs, video editing, runs on, say, for example, one of the modern M1 Macs. Well, I think you're looking at a situation here where it doesn't matter anymore. You could have, your machine just becomes irrelevant. I'll pick up some of this stuff here. Here we go. Let's say, for example, that I had enough bandwidth to be sending my video back and forth, which I probably do not. But let's say if I did, then I could literally run something like DaVinci at a machine at a distance that would be able to process everything that I'm doing, run everything that I'm doing at a rate that is beyond what I could ever possibly pay for on a desktop. And of course, again, I'd have to be able to send the video there. I'd have to send the video back to me. You're running into issues with who's got your access to your data and where's it being stored. And really, when it comes down to it, could we be getting close to an era where the computer itself is not important? And let's look at Fortnite and other video games as an example. Now, let's say that I have a machine that's several years old. The video card's aging. It doesn't have much RAM in it. The hard drive's a normal hard drive. It's not an SSD, etc. Well, I could look into spending $500, $1,000, $1,500 to put, say, a video card in it, or maybe an entirely new machine. Let's just say I'm just going to upgrade a video card. Let's say I'm going to spend $250 on a video card. Well, one of the things that this particular setup does require, oh, somebody shot me. Let's just jump. Is I need to have a decent internet access. So most data rates for homes have caps. This will probably fill that cap up pretty quick. I think in the particular mode that I'm playing right now, I'm using about 10 gigabytes of data per hour. In some houses, most households that have about a 50 gigabyte limit, you're going to burn that up pretty quick. But let's say that you spent 20, 30 extra bucks, let's say as much as 30 bucks a month, that you've added to add to take the cap away, or to add so much cap onto your data rate that it doesn't really matter anymore. And then the second thing that you do is up the speed to make sure the speed is good enough. And then you spend the $4 a month right now that these guys are charging to run the GeForce application and subscription service. And so let's say you're talking $34 a month. Well, if you're going to spend $250 on a video card, you could run a good 7 or 8 months on the same amount of money. And at all times have access to not only the latest and greatest technology that's running, but I mean, this thing runs at its highest level all the time, at the maximum frames per minute, all the maximum frames per second, all the time, on really crappy hardware. So at that point, you have to start to think. You go, well, maybe I shouldn't buy any new hardware. Maybe all I need is this particular thing. I will say in applications like Fortnite, this makes more sense to me because I am in a multiplayer situation and I'm playing in a game where I was going to be online all the time anyway. One of the other games that I have, which, let's just get out here. One of the other games that I have is a game called Control. And Control is a game that is often used to sort of benchmark systems. How fast will it run Control given the different graphic settings? Well, again, I don't care about it. I just set all the settings all the way up to maximum. I set the ray tracing all the way up. I set everything all the way up. And the game plays absolutely like it's butter on this machine. So why would I spend a bunch of extra money? Oh, by the way, Control is a PC-only game. Incidentally, this is a Macintosh. It seems like to me that there's almost no sense in purchasing hardware, especially for any kind of a gaming thing, when you have this available to you, assuming that your bandwidth is there. Now, one of the games, one of the reasons I bring up Control is because Control is a single-player game. It doesn't have multiple people online. You're not playing against multiple players anyway, so you're not going to be online typically when you're playing this. However, to run this on GeForce Now, you are going to have to be online, and you will be using up those massive gigabytes of data, regardless of what it is, even though you're not playing against someone else. So it may not make so much sense to play single-player games that way. Again, it depends on your access to bandwidth. If bandwidth is not an issue for you, this to me is a game changer, and I don't mean that as a pun. It just seems like to me that you could really, really, really change the way that you look at hardware when systems like this begin to come online. Amazing thing for Nvidia. I will put links to this down in the bottom, and also I might add that their monthly subscriptions are basically already filled up. They are offering a 6-month subscription, which I think is $24. It's about $4 a month. I am not in any way related to Nvidia. I am not making any money off them. This is something I accidentally stumbled into, and am just so astonished by it that I felt like I needed to make a video. I will tell for anybody that's curious about it, there is no lag. There is no video problems. There is no... it seems like to me that this thing is running exactly on whatever it is that I'm, it seems like it's the latest, greatest, top, and bestest. I feel the need to point out that this is not a 100% perfect system. If for nothing else, not absolutely everything is available. I'm pretty sure that the majority of games from Epic is available here. That's not what I needed to look at. And I think the majority of the games from Steam are available on here as well. Past that, I know that there has been a couple games that have been taken off. Tomb Raider, for example, is something that I know that for some reason they decided to take it off. Apex Legends is available. War Thunder, I know, is available. There's a number of games from a variety of different publishers. I don't know if this is likely to get bigger or likely to get smaller. I don't know. I also know that there was Counter-Strike is here. I know that Google's working on a competing product called Stadia. I almost said Compedia. And I don't know exactly what the status is of that right now. My understanding is it's never really worked as well as what they had expected it to, although I could be wrong there. Team Fortress 2, a lot of people playing that nowadays. So your game may be here, your game may not be here. If you want to restrict yourself to the games that are available on Nvidia's GeForce Now service, then you're probably going to be very happy. If you have something that's not on here, you're probably not going to be very happy because you're going to have to spend the dollars on hardware to run it yourself. If you do want to know any more about this, or have questions about it, or want to try to see something run, just put it down in the comments. You know what? I think I'm going to go play some games, and I'll see you later.